Hey, well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, soldiers. Scott Gallagher here, coming to you from Chicago. We have got Gary all the way from, well, not all the way, because he's just over on the north of the border to me, near Toronto, Stratford. You got a cool little story to be able to tell about that. But before we get into that, first off, you hear a little bit of that. That's a little bit of a homemade shout out to our man, Ben Bitboy. Thanks for that video, dude. That was a great overview of Phantasma. You brought some interesting eyeballs to the project. And I know, guys, like, let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. We know there was a little bit of pump, and you know that's how it goes. But we've got some really good eyeballs. And one thing I want to remind everybody about Phantasma is how awesome our community is and how fantastic our technology is. Because when some of these people come in and start peeling some of those layers back and understanding what Phantasma is all about, it's retention. And we've got those three things. What are that? Use, utility, and adoption. That's what we're talking about, guys. We've got some great things going on. Mazer, Polka Cover, Terra Virtua, Ghost Festival, the game. And next week we have a State of the Chain upgrade with Bill. And on that note, I tried to time that music properly and I didn't get it, and that's why we practice. But Gary, dude, it's been a pleasure working with you. It's been a pleasure watching you come into the community, start out as an investor, start out about peeling some of those layers back, and you've got a good history in crypto. I mean, you're just not in 13 weeks ago. You've been in since 2013. So thank you for your time today, dude.
Thanks very much, Scott, and hello to every soldier out there. It's an exciting time to be a part of the Phantasma community, and yeah, I've been involved in crypto since 2013. I'm a bit of a, I try to be a bit of a problem solver. My role is my full-time job. You know, I'm all about lean manufacturing and ways of making things better. And one thing I found about blockchain was that it truly is a paradigm shift to make things better. And you know, I've migrated through a few crypto projects. You know, some successful, some not so successful, and I think we can all relate with that. And the journey that it takes you, because you're diving deep into things that have never been done before, and it's transforming a lot of legacy things that have been always done a certain way in the past, and now blockchain is changing that. And that journey, you know, brought me to Phantasma. And Scott, we were talking about this before.
Let's get into some of this in a little bit. Let's learn a little bit about who you are and identify some credibility. I know we've got so much to talk about. I apologize for cutting you off there.
Yeah, no worries, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, people want to know a little bit about the soldiers behind the community. We've had a variety of different, you know, soldier stories, and we've got others lined up. And you know, I was telling you about a conversation that I was just having last night with a new soldier. It's fascinating, the people that are involved, and that one I can't wait until we you know, can move forward further. But you know, so you started in 2013, correct? You know, you bought your first crypto coins back then. And
correct.
I'd mentioned that you're in Southern Ontario, but you're in Stratford, correct, or just outside of Stratford, Ontario?
In the general area, yeah. So it's pretty rural, but yeah, it's. I'm a Canadian. We're enjoying our traditional winter life, which I don't know. I might be getting too old. I don't enjoy it as much. I kind of break the mold of your traditional stereotypical Canadian. I've never played hockey. That is a sin, I know, but you know, I'm active in other sports like soccer and rugby and that kind of thing. So I'm more of a summer guy than winter. But no, I as I said, I have a full-time job related to supporting our plants globally with continuous improvement and lean manufacturing. I'm also a volunteer firefighter in my community. I'm married with 2 teenage boys, and that's a whole another ball of wax that you know, creates a lot of adventures with 2 teenage boys. And you know, I also have a passion for crypto. It's an exciting and revolutionary technology, and I'm not a coder. I'm not I don't profess to know an in-depth dive of the tech, but it's just exciting on what blockchain is trying to change. And it's just incredible. It's just incredible.
Yeah,
So
it really is. Like, I mean, you've got a really interesting persona because, let's face it, there's a lot about you when you describe it on the outside. You are an average, hardworking 9 to 5 man that went to school, got your education, went and got a job. You've moved up to corporate ranks. You are, you're at an executive level now. You have your children. You're married, and you had mentioned to me a little bit about being a volunteer firefighter, but also a coach. You're a sports dad, and that's kind of what got me into this. Interestingly enough, was and talk. It's funny. I never played hockey. You said, well, I grew up in Northern Ontario, and I grew up in Sudbury, and we grew up on a lake, and we have property on Manitoulin Island, which is on a lake, and more property on Lake Muskoka. So we had access to the 3Ms, 3 different lakes, and I played hockey on these lakes. But when my kid was 7 or 8 years old, 6 or 7 years, I think he was 7, and he was on a hockey team, and I really enjoyed that coach. And the next year I said, hey, I called him up, I want you to be coaching my son again. And he says, well, I'm not coaching this year, Scott. I'm director, but I'm looking for coaches. Do you want to coach? And I'm like, dude, I never played hockey before. And, this is down in Illinois, in Chicago. And he says to me, well, you're Canadian, right? I said, yeah. He says, well, then you're qualified to coach. And that's always been the joke, out of all those years. And we had shared the stories about how amazing it is to be a youth sports coach, and the feelings.
It's rewarding.
Oh.
You can't stress enough that when you start the season and you see the kids and some are better than others. Obviously, there's different skill levels, but that when you see the team slowly coming together and they start executing the plays that you've been practicing over and over again, and just to see the excitement and smiles, regardless if they win or lose, the fact that they made an improvement, and you just can't get that anywhere, and there is a connection to Phantasma in that piece of it's a bit of a leap, but from coaching kids and seeing them succeed, when we see all these artists now coming to Phantasma, and you see the enthusiasm, the kind of the aha moment that, wow, I've got a tool that gives me 100% control of my content, and rightfully so, be rewarded for that content, and the enthusiasm of taking their craft and making it better for them. And like I said, when you're coaching, kids in soccer, and they start off and their skills quite aren't there, they're learning and they're growing, and then by the end of the season, they're performing, time after time. I see all these artists that are coming towards Phantasma, and when they're first learning how to do it, it's a bit clunky. There's a lot of questions because it's a bit of a journey to get fully versed into for example, minting NFTs. But once they've got it, the excitement, enthusiasm, it's just incredible. It's infectious. It really is. Like recently, a Raven 50mm, which is the first 100% photographer artist. And in chatting with her, you can tell the excitement that she has, having discovered this new tool that for pennies, she's got 100% control over content, and she will earn the rightful return on her work. So yeah. Anyways, it was a bit of a leap from coaching to the.
And Gary, what happened to Gary? Gary's internet cut out. What happened to Gary? All right, let's see if Gary comes back here, guys. We don't have any backup plan for this. So I am just going to wait to see if he can reconnect, because if he does, it should just come right back. But I'm still streaming out. My internet's still going good. I don't even know if he's realized that he's cut out here, folks. Interesting that you can have these events from all the way in Australia and all around the world, and here we are just a few hundred miles away, and something's going on with the internet. So we will send him a quick little message. And if not, so at the beginning, I was talking about some of all the awesome things that are happening over at Phantasma. And, it was a great shout out from BitBoy, and, with the launch of Ghost Market, and Gary was talking about creating NFTs. It was, very inexpensive and quick. But the recent partnership with Mazer Gaming and what they are going to be doing with some NFTs, and, the discussions of Polka Cover, but more importantly, Terra Virtua, that was just fantastic. So it's great. It's a lot of fun. And what are we going to do here, folks? I don't know, because this is all about Gary. I guess I could start asking him questions and, answer them for him, because I do know some of them. But he's got my message to reconnect. So I don't know if he's seen that on his phone. He's waiting for me. Okay. There we go. And maybe if we do that, Gary comes back.
There, I can.
Yeah, we're back on the air.
There we go.
We're all live now. Do we know what happened there? We don't know.
It just disconnected. I saw a black screen, and the marvels of some technology, it just doesn't stand up.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And the show goes on. I'm trying to sit there and go, what am I going to talk about now? I got to be a little more prepared for these things, but it's all good. But we were just, starting to learn a little bit about you, Gary, learning a little about your work history, a little bit about your education history, establishing that, you've a hard 9-to-5 worker, and several years ago, you got introduced to the blockchain technology. Let's move through a little bit that, and then we can get over to, discussions of what's happening over at Phantasma and some of your roles with Phantasma and your experiences and that. And so, you bought your first tokens, that's 8 years ago. So you're a veteran in this industry, by all accounts of the standards of a veteran and a pioneer, essentially. Back then, crypto world was very different, and the Ethereums didn't exist, and second tier protocols and third tier protocols and all the tokens that exist today. So what got you interested in this 8 years ago?
Well, I mean, obviously, it was a lot of speculation. I mean, crypto is notoriously speculative, but I think what I mentioned before, what captivated me is, this technology has the ability to change legacy paradigms. I'm all about changing paradigms. If life, if you get stuck in a paradigm, you'll never improve. And something like Bitcoin was kind of this kind of wow moment about some of the things it was trying to improve, and so it really captivated me. And so I hadn't done much on investing and that kind of thing on even in the legacy systems, But when I heard about blockchain and I heard about Bitcoin, I was like, wow, this is something big. Mm-hmm. And back then it was the Wild West. It was speculation. It was really rolling the dice because is it true? Could this be true? What is potentially upon us? And then as the market matured, then all of a sudden all these other projects started to appear, and so it kind of draws you down deeper and down the rabbit hole. Your time now is spent a lot reading article after article. I mean, I read probably 24 articles a day. I shave off time here, shave off time there, to try and fit in diving into that rabbit hole of crypto. And there was a lot of interesting projects coming out of the gate with different use cases, and it really was by chance, I have to say, that I found Phantasma. And because there's just so many projects out there, it's very overwhelming on trying to lock down a project that really makes sense. And
you raise a really, really good point that I want to touch on before we get too further along and get into some of the Phantasma exploration. But that's the element of research, and it's I don't have the same experience in crypto as you do, but I have a similar time length of experience in the business world. And I come from, the internet marketing world that has transformed and matured over the last decade and a half in a very similar sense, or the e-commerce world that is now little over 2 decades old, that had also gone through very similar types of things. And quite interestingly, I wanted to bring this up because there was a live stream today from Mark Cuban. And as we know, Cuban is an influencer within our industry, almost equally as, or arguably as influential as a Musk. And he's been a little more reserved on certain elements, but his bullish factors that he was discussing today about DeFi and NFTs was absolutely fascinating. And I had to capture that aspect because here is a man, a multi-billionaire that owns an NBA team, and he is going through taking courses in Solidity. He's reading up on, a whole variety of different codes so he can dive deep into the concept of understanding what smart contracts truly are, but more so the capabilities of what smart contracts can potentially do. We don't know that. So, this is why we get along, research elements. And I dedicate, and I want every soldier to understand this, to do your research.
100%.
And get out there. And I spend, 2 hours in the morning reading, and I spend 2 hours in the evening listening. I have a library of different video content that I set up and I go through. And that's a minimum of 4 hours every single day that I am adding to my own personal education.
If you're not researching on the porcelain throne, you're not researching enough. And I know we've all done it. You can't find the time, but you got some time during the day to at least fit in that necessary research. But I mean, it's critical. I 100% agree with you. It's critical to know the pieces. And I'll touch with Phantasma a little bit here. There were a lot of pieces that existed which made my decision to invest in Phantasma. And it's just doing the research, becoming familiar with the project, and also the community.
Well, not just our project, but other projects, okay? I encourage everybody to go and do research on other projects because that gives the confidence. And that's the very first thing we're talking about is these pump and dumps and, influencers are discussing. That's fine. That's fine and dandy. But in the long term, go do the research and understand what other projects are or aren't doing and what's really behind them. That was another thing that was discussed in that live event. And that's why, peeling the layers back, we know that they're going to find confidence within Phantasma. We know that, Gary. We don't need to sell them on that. It's fascinating, that concept of the ignorance, the naiveness, the immaturity that exists in the crypto space. And there is no place in Phantasma's community for those people. We've got a very, very smart, intellectual, capable community that understands the scope, and that, tomorrow it's not. We're not here to flip. This is a long-term chain, and
absolutely
and what we're doing with NFTs. So.
And to add to that, Scott, the community aspect. You never base a decision to invest in a project based on what somebody in the community says. But one thing I find about Phantasma is there is a lot of patience with older guard Phantasma investors who take the time to explain the merits. The onus is still on you to research and gain a good overview. But the Phantasma community in my early days, I mean, the wealth of knowledge passed down to make me understand and give me that point of view, and not so much in a shill way, but in a very, very research-orientated manner. And then that allowed me then to, research other projects that were doing the same thing. Well, wait a minute, those other projects, that's some problems that they've got, but Phantasma doesn't. And then you go deeper dive into Phantasma and you go, wow, this is something pretty cool. So the community, I find, of Phantasma as being so patient and so welcoming and really trying their best just to make you understand, because it's a lot to take in for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. It's a lot to take in. There's no doubt about that. And identifying not only the technology behind it, but what are the use cases? How are we going to change the world in certain senses? We've got the Soul Challenge, for example, that the House of NFT
Awesome.
is going. And if nobody knows what the Soul Challenge is, this is creating an intrinsic value, a level of value to music that has not been capable in the past. It's offering a new revenue stream to musicians that was unheard of prior to this pandemic, in a fashion and this is not in terms of speculation, but this exists and is happening today on the ghost market. And some of the conversations that House of NFT is having is just, can't wait until he's able to talk about some of these names. But on that note, what have you done for Phantasma? Let's talk a little bit about you as a community member. You put a bunch of money into buying tokens. You like it, and you're like, I want to do a little bit more. I want to get further involved. How'd that go down?
So initially, you're absolutely right. It was strictly, I'm an investor. This is a fantastic project. I'm going to, put some money behind it, and it's for the long term. I'm a long-term holder, by the way. I'm not a day trader. I buy, I hold. And obviously, you evaluate the progress of the project. But, honestly, once I see the community, the Phantasma community, and just the enthusiasm of the community, it's very infectious. And I found that, I'm starting to really develop a passion for this project, more so than just an investor. And I think that theme is present in the community. People are very passionate about this project. Sure, other projects, they have passion. I'm not saying our passion is any better than that passion, but for me, it motivated me to do a little bit more. And yeah, I'm a busy guy. I got a lot on my plate, but I felt, just one tweet or, one post on Reddit or, having the conversation, with one of my coworkers, just doing a little bit at a time to get the word out there. And then I found, okay, this is easy. I'm going to do a little bit more and a little bit more. So, I began to post a lot more posts and getting more involved in social media. And after a while, it became, I guess, in a way, a part-time job. And so, I was approached by Jay, I guess it was in November-ish, around last year. And he had said, look, we're seeing some good things that you're writing. Would you be interested in joining the Writers Lounge? And I said, absolutely. It was a great opportunity to get really fully involved into some initiatives.
So
and
tell them what the Writers Lounge is then. And if somebody's interested in joining. I mean, you're part absolutely. Of the Writers Lounge.
So the Writers Lounge is a group of amazing people, so creative. It basically the goal of the Writers Lounge is to produce written content that you see in the Medium articles and that kind of thing. And we've got a lot of ideas of what to write about. And look, if you've got a flair for writing, that's a great opportunity to be involved.
So
Like I said,
how did it make you feel when you were a part of this club and you started to join and some of the people you worked with? I mean, what were you getting from it? You know?
oh, I mean, just doing my part, that was satisfaction enough. I mean, I felt as though, that I'm now involved with a group of guys and that are really laser focused on putting Phantasma on the map to get the message out there. And so for me to have that opportunity to work with such creative guys, to produce these articles, I mean, it's just amazing. And some of these guys are so quick at. Yeah, I kind of labor a lot to get my word out. But some of these guys are just incredible with their ability to pull the information in and then craft an article that, these wow factors that about Phantasma. So I that's what I get out of it. It's just
That
that
was
that ability.
That's awesome to hear that, and that's why I wanted to ask to be able to pull some of that out because there's elements, when we start to break down and understand the elements of psychological behavior and what fuels our fuel tank inside. Study after study after study, it's not paycheck, and there's a whole variety of more important factors. Even if we started to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and identified, some of the top factors that really, are most important to us. That, I gained some of that being a part of this community, the opportunity to work with some of the most brilliant minds on the planet. Supporting some of the stuff that they've created. So that's great. Some of the stuff that you were able to pull, you started out and you joined the Writers Lounge, and I guess you could say you graduated to the think tank. And let's talk a little bit about the Telegram think tank and how, what goes on in there and how somebody could participate in that to be involved with a different group of individuals. So we've learned about Writers Lounge, and now let's hear about the think tank.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the Writers Lounge is really about creative writing to get the message out. Think Tank, again, I was, blessed to be asked to participate because it really comes down to we need creative solutions to get our message out there, not just through the written medium, but through other means. What kind of activities can we utilize with the community and utilize in the crypto space? And so being a part of something, again, it's, I have to go back to my experience as a volunteer firefighter. There's a group of guys there that, you can count on them 100%. I mean, it's just rock solid teamwork. And with the Writers Lounge, it's the exact same thing. You got a group of guys that you can count on to edit and help and contribute. And the think tank is again, it's the same thing. So I'm looking at this, and this gives me confidence in the Phantasma project. When you have a mixture of Phantasma team members and a mixture of community members working together in a think tank, this isn't just a Phantasma team group. This is a Phantasma group. And so that gives me tremendous confidence in this project that you have all these people coming together. I mean, it's because of passion. And we're coming together. We're coming up with great creative ideas and initiatives to put Phantasma on the map. And so I connect it to my firefighting, my volunteer firefighting. I don't do it for the pay. I do it because I enjoy helping the community and seeing that the work that you're doing is having a positive effect. Well, all I see is nothing but good coming from the think tank and the Writers Club. All these people coming together and making making Phantasma a priority. Not just for investors, but also for users too. I mean, like you said, usage and adoption, right? That's what we're here to see Phantasma be successful at. And the think tank group, for those that have backgrounds in marketing or different creative ventures that help promote you know, that's really where the think tank group excels, because the cross section of people we have in that group is absolutely outstanding. And for any investor that has just newly invested in Phantasma at this level, the think tank, which is, it's a decent level of participation, but even at that level, the professionalism that I have seen, have great confidence that your investment in Phantasma was the right decision. I mean, it just, I'm not trying to I'm not giving advice here. I'm just saying it is what it is. The people we have working at all levels of Phantasma are here because of passion, and there's nothing more than to make Phantasma successful.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that story of your progression and doing that and pulling it back. You being, a token holder, and that's something that I want to clarify. First off, in the last 90 days, the largest growth of our audience, at least based off the metrics that we're seeing online, such as this platform that people are watching on YouTube, is 18 to 44-year-old males that reside in the United States by 70% over anything else. So having said that, buying a token does not make you an investor into the Phantasma company. Any SEC members that are listening in on this, let's be clear on that. We're talking about token holders and Fusion token holders, and that's what Gary is. As a token holder in the Phantasma project, has then peeled some layers back, understood some of the tech, got a little bit further involved, had a little bit of a taste with the Writers Lounge, got in and learned a little bit more with the think tank, not to protect his investment, but perhaps give him a little bit of confidence. And one thing we touched on were the emotions, that feeling inside our heart that this community is bringing. It's a really, really cool concept. And if you notice the theme, every time we talk about these soldier stories, guys, it's a very similar process that our soldiers go through, and they all have the same story. I hold, and well, come on, of course, at the end of the day, because what are there 8,000 different crypto projects that exist out there today? There's only 50 maybe that have their own smart contract mainnet. We're one of them. We're low cap, but of those 50, we have things that most of them don't have. Those three words: use, utility, and adoption, right? We have that. We have games being played on a game. We have artists coming. We have musicians coming. We've got some really cool stuff, and you see that on the inside. So this has enabled you to, I think, eliminate some of that fear of being a token holder and that fear of a project based off of this very immature, volatile crypto market. One thing we all agree on: blockchain is here to stay. It's here to stay.
Yep.
And what Phantasma is doing, and what you're seeing on the inside. And so I just wanted to venture down that path a little bit of the think tank and the Writers Lounge, and of course the Phantom Force of people that are involved, on how what existing token holders can achieve from that, and maybe get some additional comfort into their holdings into this project. And feel that. So that's really cool, dude. We're super thankful for the help that you're providing, the insight that you're providing, the ideas, the work, and you're learning some new stuff.
Yeah. I'm definitely a fish out of water for sure. But the great thing is that the team is so open and understanding that we all have limitations, but we also have things that we can excel at on behalf of Phantasma. I've got a few things I'm pursuing, on my own. Obviously with the blessing of the think tank, but these are initiatives that I think at the end of the day, it's about bringing people to Phantasma, and I really think 2021 is the year of discovery for the masses of Phantasma. It's right there. I mean, I feel it. I feel we're doing the right thing.
You just answered my question. I was going to ask you, what are you most excited about in 2021 with Phantasma? And let's repeat that. What are you most excited about? I want to hear that again. The word masses and adoption in the same sentence from you.
Yeah, I mean, it is a discovery. I mean, for me, that's the key word for 2021, because there's just so much to kind of pack into that because of everything that's going on. But it's the discovery of Phantasma by the masses, and it's about adoption and usage. And I really think that Phantasma in 2021 is going to be on a lot of people's radar. You have to look at where the use cases are. What are the problems that exist? I mean, I've said blockchain is going to solve a lot of problems, but it's also created a lot of problems. Ethereum, but I mean, it's so you look at where some of the problems are and what Phantasma is going to solve. It's a matter of time before the masses realize, what Phantasma is all about, and just how easy it is than utilizing other platforms for their needs. You just can't get better than Phantasma. I'm sold. I'm sold.
Couple of stories. We got a comment here coming from Kind Mantras on YouTube, and he makes reference to partnering with House of NFT. He partnered, or she partnered, and listen to this. I have already made more money on one sale than I made in 7 years of any and all kinds of streaming platforms. We are
That's
here.
awesome.
We have an artist in Venezuela that sells a piece of art, and I heard this through the grapevine, and I had to triple ask it because I almost don't believe it, but it's the story that has passed through. And her salary as a nurse is $3 a month in Venezuela. She's selling art for $40 and $50 a pop.
Like that goes beyond. That just goes beyond being an investor in this project.
Token holder.
This project, or as a token holder, it's helping people. It's a solution, especially to content creators. The digital age has come, and it's been great, but it's created problems. And Phantasma helps solve some of those problems that we've encountered migrating into the digital age. And I think that piece alone, to hear this, people that are benefiting from it, to me, that's a good piece of the project. That's a good piece of the project, right?
Yeah, it really is. And on that note, House of NFT is actually watching as well, and you've got to check out his Soul Challenge, folks. It's revolutionary. He's pioneering a movement in the music industry that is going to be talked about. I can't take any of the steam away because there are some big. It's a lot of fun stuff that's happening. Okay. And so he's saying Gary's been rocking the music NFT promotion. So that's a shout out to you, dude. Thanks for your help, your tweets and your Reddit posts and your writing. He says, in fact, he was the one that first lit a torch under me right before that first interview with Vincent. You rule, Gary. And it's a collaborative effort. And I see it in your face right there. It's there's so much more to our community than a token price. I mean, yeah, granted, we're at 30 points today. We hit, darn near 50, and 3 months ago we were at 7. That's great, but there's just so much more to everything that we're doing.
And you talk about community. This is the only crypto community that has a piece that's focused on the community, right? These SOULdier stories are absolutely fantastic. And when you go to other crypto communities, they don't. It's all about the project. But the fact that we've made a conscious decision to pull the community in, have these SOULdier stories. I think that's a testament. It's all about a community helping each other, and that's a great byproduct of being a part of Phantasma. That we have that energy. Of support and helping each other out, without a doubt.
So let's just have a little quick recap of what we talked about today. And some of the very first elements were research, and not just research Phantasma, peel the layers back of Phantasma, but understand the market that's out there. And, any good crypto token holder is going to have insight onto a variety of different projects. We
Connect
know
the
that
dots.
you do that, you'll have, and just the concept of the difference of the community that Gary's identified, and the participation in it, the ability to be able to influence, and he mentioned he feels heard in this particular community. It's just really, really exciting. And, on another note, we had another SOULdier story a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, I guess. Gail, she has just recently joined the think tank as well. And I don't believe she was a part of the think tank at the time. And, talking about these different channels, she's going to be responsible. She is responsible for our Facebook channel, and she's rolling out email autoresponders and, all those emails that are now growing and communicating. So that's exciting as well. But, Gary, I just wanted to thank you for your time, taking your time out of your busy day, having to sneak away from your day job for the time being. And,
No problem.
Yeah, we are just super thankful to have you a part of our team. And, I wish I can give you a hug, but I know when I go to Manitoulin Island, hopefully this summer, you may be the first SOULdier I get to meet face to face, other than my friend. That will be great to have a beer, stop by.
I 100% look forward to it, and I'm just really thankful to have had so far the tremendous opportunity to be involved with the Phantasma project and to be a part of something very special. Phantasma community, thank you for all the things that you do. And I know that life can get busy, but if you can just make that one more tweet or that one more post, strength in numbers, that's it. It's a drop in the bucket, but if we have everybody, doing that drop, that bucket fills pretty quick. So put that extra tweet out there, spend a minute or two, put something on Reddit, a post on Facebook, tell a friend, just a little bit at a time. And you know what? The word is going to get out there, and it is going to be the year of discovery for Phantasma. People are going to discover us, and they are going to realize that they have been missing out on everything that we have to offer.
Good. That's a real good closing note. I don't have anything further to say, Mr. Gary. And appreciate it, and thank you very much. And let's say goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
See you next week for State of the Chain. All right.